Have you ever found yourself wondering about the subtle signs that people give off, even when they're not trying to? Maybe you've noticed certain behaviors or changes in a person and thought to yourself, is there something more going on here? Human behavior is complex, and much of what we experience or feel isn't always spoken aloud. Instead, it's reflected in our body language, emotions, and even physical appearance. One area where this is particularly evident is after intimacy. Have you ever considered that there might be specific signs a woman shows after having intercourse, signs that are rooted in both psychology and human physiology? But before we dive into the details, let's make one thing clear. This is not about making judgments or assumptions. Everyone is different, and their body and emotions may react in unique ways after intimacy. The purpose of this video is not to intrude on anyone's privacy or to give you tools to speculate about others. Instead, it's about understanding the natural, psychological, and physiological responses that may follow an intimate experience, all while maintaining the respect and boundaries that Stoic philosophy encourages. Stoicism teaches us that we should focus on what we can control, which includes our own emotions and responses, rather than trying to control or interpret the private lives of others. With that in mind, we'll be exploring 5 signs that could indicate a woman has recently had intercourse. These signs aren't definitive and won't apply universally to everyone, but they offer insights into the common physical and emotional reactions that can happen. Think about it. How many times have you noticed someone acting differently and wondered if something significant had happened in their life? Sometimes the changes are subtle. Sometimes they're more obvious. By understanding these signs, you can better appreciate the human experience and the psychological processes that influence our behavior. More importantly, this knowledge can help you develop empathy and understanding. Sign number 1, physical glow. One of the most immediate and noticeable signs after intimacy is the afterglow. Have you ever heard someone mention how their skin seems to glow after an intimate experience? This is no myth, there's real science behind it. When a person experiences physical closeness, particularly through intercourse, the body goes through a series of hormonal changes, resulting in increased blood flow and the release of endorphins. This causes the skin, especially on the face and chest, to appear more flushed or radiant. So why does this happen? From a biological perspective, this afterglow is a direct result of heightened blood circulation. When we engage in physical activity, whether it's exercise or intimacy, our heart pumps more blood to the surface of our skin. This is why you might notice a person's face becoming red or flushed after intercourse. It's not just physical exertion that contributes to this. It's also the emotional and hormonal changes happening inside the body. Oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, and endorphins play a major role in creating this effect. These hormones induce feelings of pleasure and relaxation, which often result in a visible glow. But let's not forget the psychological component. This glow isn't just about physical health. It's also a reflection of emotional well-being. Intercourse, particularly when it involves emotional connection, can leave a person feeling fulfilled and content. That inner sense of happiness often radiates outward, making the person appear more at peace and even more attractive. It's not uncommon for people to describe themselves as feeling lighter or more energized after an intimate experience, which is another reason their physical appearance might change. However, as Stoics, we are taught not to place too much emphasis on physical appearance. Stoicism reminds us that external appearances are temporary and do not define a person's inner worth. Just because someone appears to be glowing doesn't mean we should make assumptions about their personal life. The Stoic approach is to observe without judgment and understand that many factors can contribute to physical changes. Perhaps they've exercised, rested well, or simply had a joyful day. We must remember that what's happening on the outside is just one part of the whole picture. In relationships and interactions, it's crucial to focus on understanding and empathy rather than jumping to conclusions. Everyone's body reacts differently to intimate experiences, and while the afterglow may be a common sign, it's not definitive proof of anything. The real lesson here is that the human body, in all its complexity, reflects our emotions and experiences in subtle yet powerful ways. A glow might signal physical fulfillment, but it's our inner peace and emotional well-being that truly shine through. Sign number 2, relaxed body language and behavior. After intimacy, it's common for the body to naturally relax, and this relaxation often manifests in body language and overall demeanor. Have you ever noticed that after an emotionally fulfilling or physically intense moment, people seem to carry themselves differently? Their shoulders may drop, their posture becomes less rigid, and their overall movement seems more fluid and effortless. This is because after intercourse, the body enters a state of recovery and relaxation, thanks to the release of hormones like oxytocin and endorphins. These hormones don't just promote emotional bonding. They also have a direct impact on the nervous system, helping to reduce stress and induce a feeling of calm. Oxytocin, in particular, is known for promoting feelings of closeness and security, which is why someone might appear more open and at ease after intimacy. They might sit more comfortably, lean back, or adopt a more relaxed posture, all of which indicate that their body is in a restful state. This isn't unique to women. It's a human response to emotional and physical fulfillment. From a psychological perspective, this relaxed body language also reflects a sense of emotional satisfaction. Physical intimacy often brings about a feeling of connection and security, which can make a person feel more comfortable in their own skin. This sense of comfort translates into more open and confident body language. The person may engage in slower, more deliberate movements, take deeper breaths, and display an overall sense of calm and contentment. This is the body's way of showing that it is no longer in a heightened state of alert. It's at peace. However, Stoicism reminds us to be cautious when interpreting body language. While a person's physical demeanor may suggest relaxation, we must remember that everyone experiences intimacy differently. What one person expresses through relaxed body language, another might keep hidden or express in entirely different ways. Stoicism teaches us to observe without assumption, to understand that each person's experience is unique, and that we should never impose our interpretations on others. It's also important to remember that relaxed body language could result from many different factors, not just intimacy. A person might be relaxed after a long day, a good workout, or simply because they're in a comfortable environment. The key lesson here is that while body language can offer clues into how someone is feeling, it's not definitive. The Stoic approach would be to observe these signs with curiosity rather than judgment, and always prioritize respect for the other person's experience and privacy. In relationships, recognizing and responding to relaxed body language can also foster deeper connection and understanding. It's a reminder to stay present, to be mindful of your partner's emotional and physical state, and to approach them with empathy and kindness. Stoicism encourages us to build relationships based on mutual respect and understanding, not on assumptions or external appearances. Sign number 3, emotional closeness. One of the most profound signs that can follow intimacy is a deepened sense of emotional connection. After intercourse, many people, women in particular, may experience stronger feelings of attachment or emotional closeness. This is due in large part to the release of oxytocin, which not only induces physical relaxation but also strengthens emotional bonds. Oxytocin is often called the bonding hormone for a reason. It's responsible for promoting feelings of trust, affection, and emotional closeness between people. From a psychological standpoint, this emotional closeness is the body's way of reinforcing the bond between partners. Intercourse is not just a physical act. It's an emotional one as well, and the release of oxytocin helps solidify that connection. After intimacy, a woman might feel more inclined to cuddle, share personal thoughts, or seek comfort in her partner's presence. This is a natural and healthy response that stems from both physical satisfaction and emotional fulfillment. But let's go deeper into the Stoic philosophy behind this. Stoicism teaches that relationships should be built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. Emotional closeness after intimacy is a sign that both partners are invested in the relationship, not just physically but emotionally as well. It's a reminder that true connection goes beyond the physical. It involves vulnerability, trust, and the willingness to be open with one another. At the same time, Stoicism reminds us to approach emotional closeness with balance. While it's natural to feel more connected after intimacy, we should also strive to maintain our sense of self and independence. Stoics believe that while love and connection are important, they should not become sources of attachment or dependence. Emotional closeness is valuable, but it should enhance our inner strength and peace, not detract from it. Another important point to consider is that not everyone expresses emotional closeness in the same way. For some women, the bond after intimacy might manifest in verbal communication, while for others, it could be through nonverbal cues like touch or eye contact. The Stoic approach is to recognize and appreciate these differences without imposing expectations on how someone should behave. Each person's emotional expression is unique, and it's our role to observe with compassion and understanding, rather than judgment. In a relationship, this deepened emotional closeness can be a powerful force for good. It can strengthen the connection between partners, foster trust, and create a safe space for vulnerability and openness. However, it's important to remember that true emotional closeness isn't just a result of intimacy. It's built over time through consistent care, communication, and mutual respect. Sign number 4, physical fatigue or lethargy. It's no secret that intercourse is physically demanding, and like any physical activity, it requires energy. After intimacy, many people experience a sense of fatigue or lethargy, which is the body's way of signaling that it needs rest and recovery. This tiredness is a natural response to the physical exertion involved in intercourse, but it's also influenced by the hormonal changes that occur during and after the experience. Endorphins and oxytocin, which are released during intercourse, promote feelings of relaxation and contentment, but they also contribute to the body's need for rest. After an intense physical experience, the body enters a recovery phase where it seeks to restore energy levels. This is why many people, women included, might feel the need to take a nap or rest after intimacy. It's the body's way of recalibrating and preparing for the next activity. From a psychological standpoint, fatigue after intimacy is also linked to emotional release. Intercourse, especially when it involves emotional connection, can be both physically and emotionally exhausting. The emotional vulnerability and intensity of the experience can leave a person feeling drained, even in a good way. This sense of tiredness is the body's way of saying, "I've given my energy to something meaningful, and now it's time to recharge." But here's the important Stoic lesson. While physical tiredness is a natural part of life, we should never let it define us or our relationships. Stoicism teaches us that the body's needs are important, but they should not control our emotions or actions. If someone is feeling tired or lethargic after intimacy, it's a sign that their body needs rest, but it doesn't mean that we should overanalyze or attach too much meaning to it. Fatigue is simply the body's way of telling us to slow down and recover. Another key point is that fatigue can come from many sources, not just intimacy. Stress, lack of sleep, physical exertion, or even emotional challenges can lead to tiredness. The Stoic approach is to observe these signs without making assumptions. We should respect the body's need for rest while remaining calm and centered, knowing that fatigue is a normal part of the human experience. In relationships, recognizing and responding to your partner's need for rest can foster deeper understanding and care. By allowing space for recovery and relaxation, you're showing empathy and respect for their well-being. Stoicism teaches us to approach every situation with patience and balance, and this is especially true when it comes to physical and emotional recovery after intimacy. Sign number 5, heightened emotional sensitivity. After intimacy, it's not uncommon for emotions to be heightened. For some women, this emotional sensitivity is a natural response to the vulnerability that comes with being physically and emotionally close to another person. This might manifest as feelings of happiness, contentment, or even sadness, depending on the emotional context of the relationship. It's important to recognize that intercourse can be an intense emotional experience, and the body's hormonal changes can amplify these feelings. From a psychological perspective, emotional sensitivity after intimacy is closely tied to the release of oxytocin. This hormone not only promotes physical bonding but also enhances emotional connections. After intimacy, a woman might feel more emotionally open, more in tune with her feelings, and more sensitive to her surroundings. This isn't necessarily a negative thing. It's a reflection of the deep emotional impact that physical closeness can have. However, emotional sensitivity can also bring challenges. For some, Intimacy may trigger unresolved emotions or past experiences that resurface after the act. This can lead to feelings of vulnerability, which might manifest as mood swings, tears, or a desire for comfort and reassurance. Stoicism teaches us that emotions are a natural part of life, but they should not control us. While it's important to acknowledge and honor these feelings, we should strive to maintain inner peace and not let our emotions dictate our actions or thoughts. In relationships, it's crucial to approach emotional sensitivity with care and understanding. Stoicism encourages us to respond to emotions with compassion, both for ourselves and for others. If your partner is feeling emotionally sensitive after intimacy, the best response is to offer support without judgment. Recognize that intimacy can bring up a range of emotions, and that it's okay to feel vulnerable in those moments. Lastly, it's important to remember that emotional sensitivity is highly individual. Some people may feel more emotionally charged after intimacy, while others may not experience any noticeable change. The Stoic approach is to remain calm and balanced, understanding that each person's emotional response is unique. By fostering an environment of openness and empathy, we create a safe space for emotional expression, which ultimately strengthens the relationship. In this video, we've explored 5 signs that a woman might show after having intercourse, but it's important to remember that these signs are not definitive. Every person's body and emotions react differently to intimacy, and we should never make assumptions based on these observations alone. Stoicism teaches us to approach life with understanding, patience, and respect for the boundaries and experiences of others. At the end of the day, what matters most is how we treat the people in our lives, with kindness, empathy, and a non-judgmental attitude. By practicing Stoic principles, we learn to focus on what we can control, our own actions and reactions, and to avoid jumping to conclusions about things we cannot control, such as other people's personal lives. Thank you for watching today's video on Stoic mindset. If you found this content insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, the Stoic way is to live with wisdom, respect, and emotional control. See you next time.